Andrea here from AC Podiatry. Happy Wednesday, I'm back again. Gang, today what I want to do is talk to you about ankles, okay? So we've seen the end of the season, okay? And what we now know and what is now presenting to the clinic are a lot of people that are suffering with ankle injuries or have had or struggling with ankle injuries during the season. Now the ankle is a really interesting joint. It's extremely important, okay? It's a massively important joint. But it is also a joint that is neglected. So, for example, if we do a knee injury, say we strain a ligament in a knee, we'll generally be out for 4, 5, 6, even 8 weeks in some instances. And if we do a complete rupture of an ACL, we'll be out for up to 12 months. Ankles are a little bit different. People sprain their ankle and they'll say, oh, I'll be back in a couple of weeks and get back into it. And that's actually not a really good idea because that can cause some dramas. So, what I wanted to do is shoot a series of videos about ankles and what we can do to kind of help with that. And what I wanted to do today is basically start the ball rolling by discussing 3 things. The first one is the most common injuries done to an ankle, okay? So the number one injury we see to an ankle is what we call an inversion sprain. So basically where the ankle rolls out, okay? It's a very common injury. We have 3 ligaments that sit on the outside here of the ankle. We have an anterior talofibular ligament, which joins this bone to the talus. We have a calcaneofibular ligament, which joins the fibula to the heel bone, and then a posterior talofibular ligament that again joins the fibula, this bone on the side, to the talus, okay? Now the interesting thing about the talus is it's only held in place by ligaments. There's no actual muscles that attach it. Now that's a very common ankle sprain. We've all done it, we've kind of rolled the ankle, that kind of stuff. Now, when you sprain the ankle, you can do it in 3 ways. A grade 1, you'll tear 1 ligament. Grade 2, you'll tear 2 ligaments. And grade 3, you'll rupture all 3, okay? This is one we see quite a lot. It's very, very common. Needs to be managed well. Conversely, you can do what we call an eversion sprain, where the ankle actually rolls in. This is one we normally see where somebody's done an tackle or somebody lands on the ankle, where the shin rotates in as someone falls across it, okay? So it rotates and the foot rolls in. Now a lot of the time, not only will that damage ligaments in and around the ankle, but it'll damage ligaments in this area here called the syndesmosis, okay? And syndesmosis is a ligament or fascia that kind of joins the fibula to the tibia, and you have ligaments that join here at the front and the back. Now that's a really high stress injury. If you've done that injury, chances are you've been seen already, you can't finish the game, you'll hobble off. That's really one that needs to be managed really, really well. So a lot of the time we'll immobilise that for 8 weeks, and if it's really unstable, we'll actually go and have surgery to have that repaired, okay? Now, inversion, eversion sprains aside, why is it that people have ongoing issues? And this is number 2. 75% of people who suffer an ankle injury will go on to have continuing problems. And a number of old footy players, netballers, soccer players who come into the clinic, tennis players, whoever sprain an ankle that has ongoing issues. The major reason for it is people just don't rehabilitate it. They just don't do the right thing. Oh, I sprained my ankle, I have a few beers after the game or a few sparkling wines or whatever. I'll ice it down and she'll be right. As I said to you before, the talus is only held in the ankle joint by a couple of ligaments. So if the force of the injury is enough, you can actually displace that talus, okay? And what we normally see is with an inversion sprain, the talus can slide forward, especially if you've done significant damage to the ligaments. Now, why is that an issue? Well, if you've got an ankle that's not functioning correctly, okay, there's a couple of things. You lose proprioception or balance, okay? So the weak ankles, the ankle feels like it gives way all the time. They're one of the things that we see as far as an ongoing problem, okay? Other issues we'll see is swelling, so long-standing swelling. The ankle just continues to swell all the time, okay? If left long-term, you can have arthritic and degenerative change going into the ankle. So the reason so many people have issues with their ankle long-term is they just don't get the help needed when they actually sprain it. So the third thing I wanted to say was, okay, well you've basically know a little bit about injuries and you know, okay, well a lot of people do suffer with ongoing problems. How do I know if I've got a dodgy ankle? What's one of the tests I can do to know whether I've got a dodgy ankle? This is one of my favourite tests. We do it in clinic all the time, and you'll be surprised how often this test can be quite definitive and quite surprising to people. And I'll just jump on the side. I had a patient in on late last week who has had ongoing issues with the front of her foot and through the arch of her foot. Nothing shows up on x-ray. She's seen all sorts of people. Nobody knows why it's going on, hence I got the referral. Now the quite interesting thing was nobody asked the history. This girl actually had an inversion ankle sprain 4 or 5 years ago. And when we went to go and test her ankle, the right ankle had a lot less range through it than the left. Now what happens is if you don't have ankle range, in particular dorsiflexion where it comes up this way, you've got to garner or get that movement from somewhere else. And in her case, what had happened was it had slid down and she was trying to bend through the middle of her foot rather than the ankle. Surprise, surprise, we did some work on the ankle and the foot felt better. So what test can you do? Okay, I jumped aside, I digressed, but I wanted to give it some context. This is a very simple test and we're going to run through it right now. It's called a knee to wall or a lunge test, okay? Find a wall, something like so, okay? It's very important to set yourself up correctly. So you want to have your hips pointing straight ahead. You don't want to have them rotating, okay? One foot sits forward, one foot sits back. Now the beauty about this exercise is you can actually quantify it. You can put a ruler, you can put a mark on the ground away from the wall and outline to give you a really good idea of how much range you've got. But just for fun, 1 foot forward, the back foot behind. Both feet pointing forward and again having your hips pointing straight ahead. The foot at the front, the heel stays in contact with the ground, the back heel can come off. And all you do, you come forward until your knee makes contact with the wall, all right? And then you swap and you do the other leg, okay? Now, you should be able to see that my right doesn't get there. My left gets there without a problem. Guess who ruptured their right Achilles 2 years ago, okay? So what you can see is that if you have an issue with an ankle, you'll see it with a knee to wall test. And a lot of the time, you can determine whether it's muscular, okay? So issues through the muscles of the back because you feel tightness through the back, or if it's actually got to do with the joint itself, where you'll normally feel an impingement or a restriction through the front of your ankle when you squat, okay? So do the test, okay? Identify whether you've got an issue or not, okay? If you do have an issue, go and see someone, okay? It's really important to rehabilitate this ankle. The ankle is so critically important, not just for running and jumping and playing sport, but it's actually really important for walking, for squatting, climbing stairs. And if the ankle's not working properly, it will contribute to problems elsewhere all over the body, okay? So guys, I'm gonna keep running. I know I love talking about it, so passionate, I could talk forever, but I know you guys are busy. So this is the first video in a few. I'm gonna put in there just to kind of get everything out so you guys know. Any questions, pop them below. Tag, like, share the video, okay? I want these ankles problems sorted, okay? Because they cause so many dramas. If we get this fixed, we're gonna prevent so many more problems, all right? Take care, gang. I'm going. Ciao.